True North's drive to 13 is gaining momentum heading into the weekend. So far, Manitobans have snapped up 7,158 season's ticket packages. The newest total was just released. It's more than halfway to the goal of 13,000 tickets. You can track the progress of season ticket sales online. Log on to drive to13.com. And remember, tomorrow's the first day, tomorrow at noon. First-time regular fans are allowed to buy the packages. Well, what a week this has been for hockey fans in Canada as Vancouver tries to win its first Stanley Cup in a while. First Stanley Cup, I suppose. It did win, but yeah, it's a long story. In Winnipeg, we're just happy we're going to be back in the game soon. Losing those Jets in 1996 was an emotional blow to the city. It went beyond losing just a team. CBC's Cameron McIntosh grew up in Winnipeg. This week, he came home to see the return of the NHL. Here's his personal story.
There was no way I was going to miss this, the return of NHL hockey to Winnipeg. The passion and joy of a city getting something back that it had missed for so long. Seeing people in the streets reminded me of another time when I lived here.
Hell no, we won't go.
Our NHL team was on the brink.
Save our Jets!
The rallies were all about saving it. It was passionate, emotional.
Everyone tried their best, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all.
And in the end, heartbreaking.
I spent a lot of time here at Portage in Maine and rallies around the city as a journalism student here in Winnipeg. Yeah, I was a fan, no doubt about it, but I was also learning my craft, the lessons of balance and impartiality as an emotional debate raged across the city over propping up a hockey team with little chance of success.
There was no arena, no ownership. It all became so political, it really couldn't have ended any other way. But the demise was slow. On May 6, 1995, I was in the crowd when the Jets' logo and colors were retired. The CBC broadcast it live.
The reality is sinking in. We're not ever going to see an NHL franchise in this city again.
There was every reason to believe Hockey Night in Canada's Scott Oake was right. We did get one more season, but the damage was done. Winnipeg was struggling. Young people were leaving for places like Alberta. Losing the team was a huge symbolic kick to our pride.
A few years later, I would be working for the CBC myself, a career that would take me out of Manitoba. In 2002, one of the last stories I did here in Winnipeg was about a plan to build a new arena. As previously reported, the entertainment center will go here on the site of the old Edens building. Standing here that day, it felt too late, but it turns out it was visionary. That new arena became part of a fledgling economic turnaround in the city, led by people like Mark Chipman, who convinced the NHL. Over time, the improbable became the inevitable. I made sure I was here on Tuesday to see the story through.
I am excited beyond words to announce our purchase of the Atlanta Thrashers.
If there was a strong message in the team leaving, there's also one in a team coming back. And for me, this story isn't ending, it's just beginning. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Tonight, not buying NHL tickets? You're still paying to bring a team to Winnipeg. Disrupted mail means disrupted lives.
In the last week, we lost over $15,000 in mail order business.
How to get the mail you really need.
So put on your jersey, it's time for NHL hockey.
One man's ode to the NHL's return.
Facing the Coyotes.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. In this half hour, our top story, a reality check on how much of your money is being spent to help bring the NHL back to this province, even if you never go to a game or buy a jersey. CBC's Mikhailo Prastupa reports.
Winnipeg NHL fans are now in a frenzy to snap up some of the most expensive season tickets in the league.
But a lot of people are talking about maybe, combining resources, I guess, and, maybe splitting it 4, 5, 6 ways, whatever.
Winnipeg is stepping up to the big leagues, but doing so requires enormous money. The province will now chip in even more from its VLTs to support the MTS Center.
Our commitment is to provide resources, gaming resources, that will help the building pay down its mortgage.
If people want to put money into VLTs, then that's their choice. And if they don't want to, well, they don't have to.
But the amount of taxpayer money that's being given out to make the NHL a success may be larger than you think. Over the next 20 years, True North will get enough government money and tax breaks to buy the MTS Centre free and clear. Here's how your money breaks down. The city kicks in $3 million in tax breaks annually, and the province's VLTs will add in another $5.5 million a year. Over 2 decades, that's $170 million public dollars that True North will benefit from. The MTS Centre was only built for $140 million.
Lots of debt and long amortization periods.
True North says it needs government help because the NHL is risky business, and Winnipeg is much smaller than other NHL cities.
We do not live in Toronto and Chicago and Los Angeles and Vancouver, where the absolute size of the marketplaces don't require that kind of balance.
Taxpayers are divided.
Other things that it could be used for were healthcare, school systems. I mean, that's entertainment.
You look at how many players, their salaries, they're going to be paying taxes here, they're going to be going to restaurants and, buying cars, buying groceries.
The province defends its support, saying the MTS Centre is a valuable community asset. Mikhailo Prastupa, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Hey, what better way to celebrate the return of NHL hockey to Winnipeg than with a song? A Winnipegger is putting his own spin on a Saturday Night Live classic, and it's now become a YouTube hit. CBC's Patrice Mousseau has his story.
Whether you're dancing in the streets or planning to line up at the box office, Winnipeggers are celebrating the return of the NHL to Manitoba in all sorts of ways.
Like any other Manitoba boy, I grew up playing hockey and watching hockey, and the Jets was our team.
Youth mentor and musician Rob Nash is normally writing songs and working with kids on serious issues like suicide and addictions. This week, Nash wrote a parody of Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song and posted it to YouTube.
I started writing the song, it just came out, honestly, and within an hour I'd written it, and my buddy came down and filmed it.
When you feel like the only kid in town who doesn't remember Winnipeg Jet heaven, here's a list of people that played for us back before 1997.
His Welcome Back Winnipeg Jet song combines his love of impersonation, music, and Winnipeg hockey.
Thomas Steen once had to drive on crappy roads. Dave Babbage once called Winnipeg his home, and even Eddie Oldchuck had an MTS phone.
It's already gotten almost 6,000 hits and likely many more with his dead-on Sandler voice and lyrics.
But not Winnipeg, we had Ty Domi. So put on your jersey, it's time for NHL hockey. We won't have any mercy when facing the Coyotes. We'll fill the stands and party even when it's -40. We really didn't want to beg, but welcome, welcome, welcome back to Winnipeg. Welcome to Winnipeg, NHL.
Patrice Mousseau, CBC News, Winnipeg.
True North's drive to 13 is gaining momentum heading into the weekend.
And not a big weekend for sales. This will likely be. So far, Moose season ticket holders and corporate sponsors have snapped up 7,158 tickets at last count. That's almost half of the tickets available. The newest total was just released, more than halfway to the goal of 13,000 as well. The tickets they want to sell before June 21st. Tickets go on sale to the general public tomorrow at noon. Online, you can track the progress of season ticket sales at the website drive-to13.com.
Winnipeg's return to hockey's best league could have been delayed a year or more if a deal wasn't reached before a Tuesday deadline. Highs and lows of chasing the dream continued until just hours before the big news conference. Earlier today, I sat down with True North's Scott Brown to give us a peek behind the scenes.
On behalf of my family, our partner David Thompson, and our entire organization, I am excited beyond words to announce our purchase of the Atlanta Thrashers.
They were the words Manitoba hockey fans had been waiting 15 years to hear, and Tuesday morning their joy was easy to see. The emotional roller coaster they'd been riding on the journey back to the NHL had stopped, and in a good way. No one on the inside knew for sure if the deal would get done until early that morning, but they were ready for anything, with the talks going through the night. True North's Scott Brown says he was preparing a release, simply alerting the media of a morning meeting to update talks when his office phone rang at 6:45 a.m. It was Mark Chipman.
I get a phone call from Mark, and he goes, "Okay, send it." I said, "Send." I say, "Send the update," and he goes, "Send the big one." And I kind of this 2-second pause, which seemed like a long time. I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yep, send it." I said, "Okay."
Seemingly just like that, the Atlanta Thrashers were on their way to Winnipeg. After years of behind-the-scenes work led by Mark Chipman and his inner circle, Manitoba was getting called up to the big leagues again. A call that nearly came from Chipman last year when the Phoenix Coyotes' struggles hit another low.
I got a phone call in the afternoon saying, "I think I'm going to leave with the Phoenix Coyotes here," and then they've got until so-and-so a time. The time passes, and I get a phone call 15 minutes later saying, "Yeah, they came up with the money."
Now with the Forks erupting and fans celebrating all over the city, those ups and downs seem like ancient history. Like the rest of his True North co-workers, Brown was too busy getting on with the task at hand to join in on the party. Instead, a handshake from his boss brought so much of the emotion out.
We looked at each other and we both smiled, and I stretched out my hand, and instead of just shaking it, he slapped his hand in there and said, "We did it, eh? We're here."
Mitch Peacock, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Manitoba may be getting an NHL team, but taxpayers will be paying for the effort in big time and for a very long time as well, even if they never attend a game. Recently, the province announced it would double its VLT gaming revenues for MTS Centre, thereby increasing its support for the arena where the NHL will play to the tune of $5.5 million a year. It would add on all the tax breaks the city of Winnipeg gives, and True North will benefit from a whopping $170 million in government support over 20 years. That's far more than what's needed to pay for the arena free and clear. True North says it still needs the taxpayer help because the NHL is a risk business, and Winnipeg is a small NHL market.
We do not live in Toronto and Chicago and Los Angeles and Vancouver, where the absolute size of the marketplaces don't require that kind of balance.
Taxpayers we talked to were divided on this matter. Some said government money is worth the economic spin-offs. Others said they'd rather have taxpayer money go to healthcare and schools instead of entertainment.
Tonight on the Evening News.
It'll be panic time at about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Hockey fans who want in on the NHL action are starting to sweat, with more than half the season tickets already scooped up.
Lots of them are gone and twisted and moved around. It's almost like more of a tornado.
People along Lake Manitoba continue to clean up the mess left by a powerful windstorm.
We need to be able to return to the one bundle delivery system and be able to do our jobs in a safe manner.
And as Canada Post workers stage a walkout, who's being hit the hardest?
I'm Craig Larkins. We'll see scattered showers move through southern Manitoba tonight, but Saturday we'll see a mix of sun and clouds. I'll have your full weekend forecast in just a few minutes.
From Global Winnipeg, the Evening News with Peter Chura.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Well, they're calling it the drive to 13,000, and it may not take very long to get there. True North Sports and Entertainment says demand for season tickets to Winnipeg's new NHL team is so great they could all be snapped up shortly after sales open up to the general public tomorrow afternoon. By 4:30 this afternoon, they'd already sold 7,158 seats just to Manitoba Moose season ticket holders, who were given first crack since earlier this week at tickets to the still unnamed NHL team, which begins playing here this fall. Global's Jeff Keel has been tracking demand for seats at the MTS Centre. Jeff, is there panic setting in among fans fearing they may not get a piece of the action?
Well, many fans hoping to go online tomorrow and get their season tickets when they go on sale for the general public are starting to get a little bit anxious. That's because over half of those 13,000 season tickets have already been sold, leaving just under 6,000. And thousands of people are expected to go online tomorrow to try to get tickets, so some are worried they'll be left out of this party. But True North says when you want to get tickets, it's all about having that game plan.
The puck is fed out to McIver. He shoots, score!
Winnipeg fans looking to score NHL season tickets when they go on sale to the general public at noon tomorrow are getting nervous.
We gave them up last year. We got tired of waiting and waiting and waiting.
Rick Koss made the mistake of not renewing his Moose season tickets last year. Those ticket holders were part of a pre-sale that saw 7,158 sold to date. Koss has been offering $1,000 on Kijiji for someone's Moose season ticket access code.
It'll be panic time at about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning as me and a million other people are getting set up on our computers, getting ready to go, and then seeing how it's all going to turn out.
There's going to be lots of tickets available tomorrow, but though it will go fast. The website is very capable and it will go fast.
True North says all 13,000 season tickets could be sold by tomorrow afternoon. Officials there say the key to getting tickets Saturday is to set up a Ticketmaster account and familiarize yourself with the Drive to 13 website in advance. Then follow the prompts and fill in your information before the noon deadline.
Just keep refreshing just before you get to that noon start. And then once you get into the transaction to place your deposit, you'll be good to go.
It took about 4 minutes. I did 2 different transactions because I got 2 different price tiers.
Die-hard Jets fan Josh Mulvena was one of the lucky ones who was able to buy his seats today. The Moose season ticket holder only bought the AHL package last year in anticipation of the NHL returning.
I bought it just for the sole purpose of NHL tickets, and it worked out good.
Now, speaking of strategy and getting tickets, if you don't already have somebody to maybe go halvers with, or you want to just go to 10 games, but you don't have any to buy tickets with yet, go online, because there have been some Facebook sites looking for a buddy system. And I would tell you to do that tonight, because that noon deadline tomorrow, it'll come fast. Peter.
It's going to be busy. Thanks, Jeff. Global's Jeff Keel reporting live from the MTS Center. Now, while thousands here struggle for the chance to see NHL hockey, only a handful turned out in Atlanta to see say a symbolic goodbye to their team. Fans of the Atlanta Thrashers staged this mock funeral today for the franchise. It was a financial failure and will move to Winnipeg this fall pending NHL approval.
Well, Andrew Ladd could well be the first captain of our city's new NHL team. Ladd wore the C for the Thrashers this past season, and though he is a restricted free agent, the Maple Ridge, BC native figures he'll likely re-sign.
He's a true pro, the way he plays the game, the way he prepares off the ice, and I think this team will be lucky to have him for a long time.
High praise from Jonathan Toews for his former Blackhawks teammate. Ladd was one of the players the Hawks had to let go for salary cap reasons after their cup win. Now, Ladd had 59 points, including 29 goals this past season for the Thrashers. And for the restricted free agent, when it comes to deciding where he'll play, his first priority is not the climate.
The most important thing to me is to be a place where I'm comfortable with, a place where the fans fill the building every night and the excitement's there. And I think if you ask most players, the most important thing is winning. And if you're going to put a winning team on the ice, that's a great place to play.
And Ladd feels that the pieces are in place to start building a great team in Winnipeg.
Got a lot of young guys up front, especially that are only going to improve, and a great goaltender in Andre Pavlik. So those are great building blocks, and everyone was excited last year on what was happening and where the direction that you could see the team going. And that's why Dustin Byfuglien signed a 5-year deal, and I was looking to do a longer-term deal too.
And when it comes to the name of the team, Ladd says the players are in agreement with the fans here.
And most guys I talk to like the idea of the Winnipeg Jets name. It has a history and credibility, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to us.
Well, meanwhile, Tim Campbell, the Winnipeg Free Press, speculating that Kevin Cheveldayoff could be the new GM of Winnipeg's NHL franchise. Thrashers GM Rick Dudley met with Mark Chipman and Craig Heisinger yesterday. Today, Dudley not spotted at the NHL's draft combine.
Meanwhile, as many Manitobans continue to debate if the club's name will be the Jets, the Moose, or even the Polar Bears, Thrashers forward and soon-to-be Winnipegger Anthony Stewart casted his vote via Twitter following what he says was a minor shopping spree.